Hello, everyone. Um, I guess this is gonna be my first dev diary. I don't really know how to do these. I haven't watched a lot of dev diaries, so I guess we'll just kind of get into it. Some changes that I've made recently. Um, Let me just. I I've been trying to record this like 4 times already. Been pretty sick recently. Like the other day, like I recorded like I think it was 30 minutes of video and stuff, and then when I put it to the editor, because I was thinking that okay, this is good. I just need to edit some part. Just need to cut some. Just need to cut. Hold on. Browser is not closing. I just need to cut some, parts. And when I was putting it into the editor, it was so bad. Like I was so out of energy. I was so like drained. I felt like it would be too boring to watch, especially like. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to bore you guys. Like even though at all. But yeah. So let's get right into it. So recently, I have nerfed the dual colored unique souls in the game. They all used to have an effect, and now they don't. Now they are vanillas. And the reason for that is because these cards are busted. Absolutely busted. I mean, kind of. They have the potential to be busted. Like, excuse me. They can be very strong. Like, how can I explain? So, like in Magic the Gathering, when you have like a card like this, I guess she would be like a blue and or green in Magic. This is kind of a bad thing because it's like this is a card that you can only play in blue and green decks, and this is true in this game as well, kind of, sort of. But in this game, the fact that she's like blue and because you would need to have like green lands and blue lands to play this card, right? And if you only get like green lands, then you can't play her. Even though you have blue lands in your deck, you can't play her. Straight up. But in this game, right, the souls don't need lands to be played. Like they're just normal summon, right? Also, you can like play this card as Aura. So like, I mean, sure, his attack needs light and darkness. If you don't have light and darkness, he cannot attack. But whatever, because you can just play him as Aura. Like you can just unscrew your Aura pool by having this card in your hand. So they have like this. They are like at the same time that they are like dual colored creatures in Magic the Gathering. They are also dual colored lands, which is a whole other discussion, sort of. But to make matters worse, these cards also, like on the field as souls, they also have like 2 elements. So this would be like the equivalent of like in a Yu-Gi-Oh. If a Yu-Gi-Oh monster has like, and some do, but it's very rarely. if a Yu-Gi-Oh monster has two attributes. So there are like monsters like Starboy. Um, it's a link monster that you need two water monsters to summon him. And then you would have like Milo's Radiant, which you need two earth monsters to summon them. But then if you have like two water and earth monster, you can choose whether you get one or another, and suddenly you get a lot more versatility from your extra deck. Like you suddenly get access to a lot more wild pool of cards that you can summon. And this gets like worse when you also have like dual colored cards in your extra deck, like this one for example, right? You really just get access to your entire extra deck, which is not exactly how the extra deck in this game is supposed to function as. So I have like nerfed them as a precaution, as a like power creeping thing kind of. Because they can be like pretty dangerous for sure. But it's like even as vanillas, they still kind of feel like they have like an effect. It's like the way I see it is kind of like tuner monsters, like like he's a vanilla monster, but he still has an ability. He can be used to make synchro monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh, or like those Yu-Gi-Oh monsters like Swamp King and Witch of the Third Eye, that the only effect that they have is that they can be used as any fusion material for a fusion. So even though these are vanillas, they still have like a few abilities because of some rules of the game, because of how the game works. So I think they would be fine. I would still play them as staples on dual color decks, or even third, like just like multiplied, like multicolored decks in general. Just play the heck out of them. Next, I want to talk about Volkner. This card has been like very difficult to balance. When I made him originally, he was this card that had 3 HP, and when he's summoned, he appears with 2 spell counters, and then you can like remove 1 counter. I guess this one's more visual. He shows up with 2 spell counters, and then you can remove 1 counter to destroy any card in the field. So this was problematic because what he was doing on like playtesting is like he would show up, and then I would use Amy's effect, tap her, and then give him an extra spell counter, and so I would like pop like my opponent's monster and 2 aura cards. Like I would virtually make my opponent's turn not count, right? Because you have 3 actions. I have just destroyed your 3 actions with 1 card on turn 1. This was insanely strong. For those who are those who play Yu-Gi-Oh, it's literally a dark armored dragon. I mean, sure, you kind of need to have her as a leader, but that it's like it's not like too much of a bad thing to just have her as a leader when the payoff is you get Dark Armored Dragon turn 1, and obviously you can play like multiple copies of him, so if he dies, I mean there wasn't the shooting mechanic at the time, so if he dies you just summon another one, and then he has 3 counters, and then he pops 3 cards, And if he dies, next turn he shows up again. You pop 3 cards, and at this point you win the game, right? Because it's just ridiculous, right? So I have nerfed him to make it so that like he now he shows up with 2 spell counters. This doesn't change, but now he needs to remove 2 spell counters to pop 1 non-aura card. Actually, oh no, you still can destroy an aura. My bad. Yeah. So you can like you remove 2 counters and you pop 1 card. Now this was still pretty bad. I mean, before I say why this was so bad, I want to like kind of go to the thought process a little bit. So the idea here is that like he shows up with 2, and then if you have like a card like Magic Book on the field, you can tap it and then give him like 2 more counters. So now you can like pop 2 cards. You know, like you can still like pop the 2 cards like you could in the past, but you kind of have to combo into it. You kind of have to build the deck around it. So it's like it helps you, it pays off, but you have to work for it, right? And then if you want, you can like use Amy to give her 1 counter, and then he would have like +2 damage on his engulfing fireball, right? Now he was still kind of sucking a little bit because now what was happening is that because like now he got competition, and his competition was Azul, the Ancient Tide. And when he shows up, he gets 3 counters, and his effect is that he can remove any number of counters from himself, and then you apply the effect based on how much counters you removed. So if you remove 3, you bounce a card from your opponent's side of the field to the other hand, and this is better than destroying, because what this is doing is like you are sending you can use it to send like an extra deck, like a legendary soul to the extra deck, and he's not getting destroyed. And because he's not getting destroyed, he won't become a field spell card, a field card. So this is kind of huge, actually. Also, that like like even if it's like one of those cards that like, oh, if it hits the graveyard, it can come back, or maybe it's a card that you want to have it on the graveyard. Like if you're playing Darkness and you have a lot of and you have some kind of revive in your hand. Yeah, suddenly like he basically nullifies all of this with this effect, which is very strong. But he also has like options, right? Because you can just remove like 2 counters from him, and then you get to draw 1 card. And maybe you can like use Amy's effect to give him like 1 more counter, and then you just like kind of like attack. He has like he deals more damage naturally than Volkner. He has more HP, so he's more likely to survive. So like next turn, you get to like basically choose on whether you're going to like waste 2 counters, and like you can put like 1 more counter on him with Amy, and then you can basically choose whether you get to draw 1 more card or bounce a card from your opponent's side of the field again. So it's not rocket science to figure out why this card was beating Volkner in every single way, right? Also not to mention that he's a Jhin, so he gets Jhin support, which is kind of nuts. So yeah, like that was happening. So what I did to Volkner, to keep him like in check, like to make him an alternative for Azul, is that I gave him 3 more HP, and I made it so that like when he pops a card, he also draws a card. So like now, he's basically activating both Azul's effects, but they're not really as good as Azul. Like he's not really like he doesn't deal as much damage. You know, it's not like as great, but it's different. You know, because like you're popping one, you're drawing one, and then if you can combo into it, you can give him 2 more counters. You pop 1 more card and you draw into it. So he is good in different fields, and you know, like this creates a little bit of a difference between the two, and hopefully that's going to make it so that they are interesting, right? So yeah. What else was I going to talk about? Oh yeah. So there was like this mechanic in the game that was really poorly thought, and I fixed it, kind of. So you have like 3 actions per turn, right? So Pixel says, the pro gamer, she would have this effect where like when she hits the field, your turn actions becomes 4. So it's like, you know, we have like 3 actions, now it's 4. Oh, you have 3 actions? No, you have 3, because it's, you know. Oh, you have 1 action? No, you have 2. And then if she leaves the field, then it goes back to 1. Like you lose the action that you got from her, which is very confusing and unnecessary and weird and strange. It's very hard to keep track of, for sure. Like extremely hard to keep track of. Like it's insane. And Dorman was very similar. Like, you know, he would like, but he was the opposite. Like he would hit the field, and the actions would become 2. So he would hit the field, and then oh, you have like 2 actions now, and then if he leaves the field, it would go back to 1 action. And it was really poorly thought. So I changed them to make it so that like, you know, like now Pixel says when she hits the field during your like draw phase, you gain your like your 3 actions. I mean, sorry, you gain like 4 actions. Like you get 4 actions, right? You get like your 3 actions plus 1. And Darwin makes it so that you, instead of getting 3, you get like 1 less. So 2, right? So this makes it so that like if I remove Dorman from the field, I still have like 2 actions. It's kind of a buff to him, which I don't like because this card is pretty powerful. I'm gonna probably have to nerf him in the future, probably soon, because this card is pretty much already one of the best cards in the game, and this rule change is going to make him better. So yeah, and it's a nerf to her, and I also probably am going to buff her because she kind of sucks now. But yeah, like, you know, basically, you know, you draw your card, you have 2 actions, and if you kill him, you still have 2 actions. It doesn't matter, right? You haven't gained 1 action by killing him, and you haven't gained 1 action by summoning Pixel says. So this is something that is like, it's easier to keep track of, it's easier to understand, it's not confusing. It's just like smoother to play. So I guess I'm gonna move on to the tokens. Pretty much like kind of like I have made a small like updates to the tokens. That was like kind of I was kind of lagging to make this update. I don't know why I lagged so much to do that. But TLDR, basically what I did is that I colored their borders to match with their elements. So the Earth Wolf is now an Earth Wolf, and the Earth Slime is now an Earth Slime, and now the Dark Zombie is now a Dark Zombie, and he's purple because he's dark. Also, I did change the artwork for some of the tokens. I do believe that like I have changed these two like for now. I tried to make the imp look a little bit more like impish, right? He's like cute, but he's also kind of a brat, right? He's like a little dick. And I made the zombie. I can pull up the old versions for a comparison. Give me a sec. Yeah, there it goes. That was the old one. And here's a new one. Like, you know, it has like the little tap does 1 damage. You know, 1 HP. You know, all that fancy stuff. And for the zombie, wait, really? I gotta open this thing. Okay, it's faster now. The zombie, like, I didn't really love the zombie because like he was like sort of like in the city, and this is something that I'm probably going to change soon with the dark cards. So the zombie was like in this modern city. The city is supposed to be based around São Paulo. I don't love him because like dark cards in the lore are supposed to be in hell, right? Darkness lays in hell. They exist in hell. And it's like, sure, in Purgai, not every place in hell is just burning fire, but most of hell is a burning wasteland, right? So I tried to make like an image that like zombies in Purgai are these condemned souls that are like just kind of like, you know, paying for their sins, for their atrocities on the world, you know. So this is kind of like what I'm trying to go for, like, you know, like a zombie in agony, like he's rotting away, he's in pain, but he's also kind of terrifying, you know. I specifically told the AI to use blue, red, and magenta as like the color palette, which is something that this is something interesting you can do when you're making your AI images. You tell them like a palette that you think is going to be meaningful and impactful, and it just does that. It prioritizes using these colors, and you can really get that it did such a good work with it because you can really see like the contrast between the blue and the magenta and the red, you know, like it's all very like just very good looking in my opinion, you know. So I am really happy with like how I prompted this image, and yeah, like this is in my opinion that's like a big improvement. I might on the topic of like the whole like flavor of the darks, I might change some of the other like dark cards so that they fit better with the team. This one fits the team kind of. Yeah, no, this one does. But like you know, like these zombie cars, you know, like they still have like the same issue kind of. Like you can't really tell that they are in hell. It's more like this is like a zombie apocalypse, and you know, like you got like zombies with guns, and this is basically like just a cyberpunk zombie. You can't really tell what's going on with the dark cards, so I might rework a little bit of them, but I'm not sure. Or maybe I could like rework how. I don't know how I'm gonna like work with the lore. But anyway, so yeah, like I have colored all of the tokens borders. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. So this card has 3 arms, and I just noticed yesterday. So I am gonna do myself a favor. I'm gonna do everyone a favor, and I'm gonna do this. Before, after. That's much better, isn't it? That's an improvement, isn't it? That's a lot better, right? So yeah, like yeah. I also on live, right? Yeah, this is 100% improvements, right? Tokens for the Metatron leader card. What else am I forgetting? Oh yeah, the dual color one got like really pretty in my opinion. I really like how I did the dual colors like a gradient. I kind of miss like these gradient designs. Let's see if I got like another one. Oh no. Oh yeah, I also got this one. I still don't know, like I have no idea how I end up like making the beetle tokens in plural and like full caps, like super big. I have no idea how this happened, to be honest. It's also like on a trend token, but I don't know, just happened kind of. Oh yeah, I also made the 5 dragon tokens, and I'm really happy with it because it does actually look like it is Pentaclea, right? In fact, it looks kind of better. Because like, you know, like the lore of Pentaclea is that, like, you know, each head represents one of the 5 elements, and right here we have light, fire, earth, water, and darkness. Like, this is amazing. Like, this is really cool. Even like here in the image, it still doesn't quite look like it's the 5 elements. I might have to like Photoshop it maybe, so that like one is like more purple, and then the other one is like, I don't know, red, right? But yeah, like, this is really cool. I'm really happy with the results. So yeah, this is the changes that I have been working on. Wait, I still have a little bit of time. But I mean, I guess, you know, I don't want to take too much of your time, you know. You know what? Screw it. I guess like one thing that I was like kind of like wanting to talk about. You can really tell that I don't know how to do like dev diaries, right? How I do how I do vanillas in this game. So the way I do tokens in Poor Guy, I shouldn't have done that. The way I do the tokens, hold on, sorry. How do I say? Okay, there it is. Tokens. The way I do vanillas in this game, and how I do it and why I do them. So, you know, obviously, when you're like, when you are like a bit more of an experienced like TCG player, excuse me, you know that like vanillas aren't good. Excuse me. They are in general not good cards. They don't do anything, you know, and any stat that they might have, any other card has it, but then they have like an effect on top of it. So they're not exactly like very good cards. But so I like, but at the same time, I think it's important for a TCG to have like vanillas, especially in the early stages of the game. The reason for that being because how can I explain? Like, cause like, you know, like all of these games like kind of do it, like, you know, Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, all of the big three did that. Like they had like a lot of vanillas on their initial booster packs, and to be honest, like Yu-Gi-Oh overdid it. Yu-Gi-Oh is like, I mean, the common cards on their first set were atrociously bad. It was it was such a weak set, with like weak cards. And it, like, you know, it sucks. It sucks. It sucks when like a set has hold on, just give me a second. My monitor. My monitor is going crazy. I don't know what's going on. Oh, we're back. So, it really sucks when, like, you know, a set has like useless vanilla cards and stuff. It's not like fun. It's not good. It's not interesting. It's kind of basic. It's kind of lazy. It's kind of boring. But at the same time, I think they are important, and a game needs to have them, at least in the first set. I think, yeah, like 100%, like a game needs to have like vanillas. And the reason for that is because it simplifies the card pool. Like for playtesting, it's just amazing. Like, because like if the person is playing the game for the first time, you want to give them like very simple cards with not too much text, because it can be really overwhelming when you're like starting to play a game and then there's like all these cards and they do like a million stuff, and it's like, oh my god, it's 7 cards, and then you're reading one and then you're reading another one, and you're like, and then you end reading and you're like, wait, how do we play again? And you explain them and they're like, okay, I forgot what all of my cards do. I guess I'm just gonna play this card and I don't know what it does. It's like, oh, but you can't play this card. Oh, shoot, I'm sorry, I forgot how to play the game. It's really overwhelming. It ruins playtesting a little bit. It really does. Which is why in these two playtesting decks, like these two beginner decks, I have inserted as many vanillas as humanly possible for these two types of decks. And I try to make the vanillas be important in some kind of way, being like playable in any way possible. So, for example, Nebula Gate Warden, he is a wall, he has like that advantage. Now, this isn't like a good thing because, in water you could just play, library. Oh, sorry, scavengers. Library scavengers. My bad. Which is also a 5 HP, but it has a way better effect. But the Bloodgate Warden is a Djinn, so he is part of an archetype. He benefits from that archetype. There are cards that will help him in some ways or another. Merfolks do have a little bit of like support, a little bit, not too much. Excuse me. Elves also, they have a lot of support cards for them. Beast have a little bit of support. Like I also for each color I try to make like a wall and a card that is like it hits hard and it has like a pretty decent amount of HP, which is very strong, very good for sure. And like I made this one vanilla generic, like a wind card that is 5 HP and deals 8 damage. I mean, technically he's not a vanilla because he has reach, but I mean, really, that's, it's basically vanilla, right? He doesn't do anything, so like he's he's a strong vanilla that you can splash into any deck. I also made an extra deck vanilla as Hermes, a little bit more HP. He has 3 different attacks. Again, he's technically not a vanilla because he has reach, but then again, it's not like it. So yeah, can be splashed into any deck. He has like 3 different attacks, which is very rare in this game. Like all vanillas, they try to do, and of course now with the dual colors, they certainly do something. So with all the vanillas, I try to do something different. I try to make them relevant. I tried to make them, I think it was Theseus in Yu-Gi-Oh!, which is like a vanilla fusion, but he is also a token. And he is level 5, so he can be brought with instant fusion, and he's a zombie, so he can be brought with like Book of Life. He has like zombie support for him. Taking like a lesson from Yu-Gi-Oh!, I try to make all of the vanillas matter in some kind of way. I don't try to just make I'm taking a lesson from modern Yu-Gi-Oh! And not from old Yu-Gi-Oh! Where vanillas were just like literal pack filler. Like they were just useless monsters with terrible stats, no synergy whatsoever, and they were just like literal just, hey, we are here to fill the pack, No, these cards, they have a purpose to be here, they have a reasoning. They are playable, at least in the sets, at least in this like card pool, they are playable. You can 100% use them for sure. So yeah, they exist. They 100% exist. And I don't know, I guess that's like a way to do it, I know that Vanguard does the way they do it is they make it so that no card can be better than a vanilla. No card can have more stats than a vanilla, which I don't think it's necessarily the best way to do things, but it's a way to do it. But yeah, man, I really enjoy this approach. I think it's gonna be healthy for the game, and like sure, I know that like in maybe even on the span of like one booster pack, all of these vanillas will cease to be. They will like just not be in the meta if they were in the first place. You know, sure, this could happen, but at least in this card pool, in this first card pool, there is a reason to play them. They make sense. They function. You know, yeah. Like, because like, and the reason I'm trying to get like vanillas to function is because like again, it just simplifies the game so much for new players. You know, like you don't really want to get into a game and then every single card is a wall text. It's a lot easier to get into a game when like you get into the game and then every single card is a vanilla and they're like easy to understand. They attack and they defend and they have their stats. You know, so the player can understand the basics of combat in the game, while you know like so that later they can figure out effects and combos and all of that fun stuff. So yeah, this is why I made so much vanillas, or actually I would argue that like I didn't make like that much vanillas. I made like what 10, 20, 22. I made 22 vanillas, I believe. Yeah, this is why I made vanillas, even though I don't like vanillas. You know, they're necessary. They should be in every game for sure, at least on the first set. And you know, like the fun thing about vanillas is that like later on, you can turn them into an archetype, and this is like when things start to get fun, because like you know at this point, like it gets to a point where vanillas are so power creeped out of the game that you can literally turn them into an archetype and just give them like crazy support, and then they slowly become unplayable. And Yu-Gi-Oh has been done this like really masterfully with cards like Rescue Rabbit, and not so masterfully with cards like Unexpected Eye, but it's still an interesting card design. But yeah, you know, vanillas. Love them, hate them, put them in your game. They're gonna help you for sure, and they're gonna help your players. So this is the end of that. I suppose. I guess it was like that was my TED talk. That was my what is it? GDC is it called? So yeah. Thank you for watching so far. Like I've been really happy with like the support that I have been receiving with these videos and with the game in general. It really inspires me, it really excites me to keep doing this and just working on it, man. It's awesome. So you know, if you want to help me, please leave a like, subscribe, you know, comment, you know, put me in the algorithm. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.